We're here live at the Futuristic Blockchain Conference, and we're here with Scarlett from BitBows, and of course, Michael Terpin, that has an amazing book called Bitcoin Super Cycle.
So, Michael, we're here at a Blockchain Futures Conference, and we want to know a little bit more about your book, Super Cycle. We just heard American Bitcoin, and I think now more than ever, people want to understand what Bitcoin is. Tell me a little bit about your book, and how can people get one?
Sure. So I've been in Bitcoin since 2012, got very heavy in 2013, and I've invested throughout all the cycles. There are 33 cycles in the history of Bitcoin. We're only in cycle number 5 right now. And yet 95% of all Bitcoin is mined, and less than 5% of the people have it. So you can see that there's still a lot more users to be onboarded and not that much Bitcoin around. I wrote the book primarily because I was frustrated in the early days when I would explain to investors in real estate, in tech startups, about how amazing Bitcoin was going to be for the world economy, and how you could get it for under $100. This is back in 2013, or under $200 back in 2015, or under $1,000, etc. And they would all go, "Oh, well, let me ask my stockbroker," and the stockbroker would say, "Oh, it's a scam. Here's what Warren Buffett said." And so I wanted to write it first and foremost to show the technology and the history of Bitcoin and how it's rock solid, and then to show how it has outperformed every asset class for the last 15 years, and how it is poised to do that again. The bulk of the book, I talk about why Bitcoin goes up every 4 years, excuse me, and how the volatility in between the halvings is based on fear and greed. And so Satoshi in the white paper said that as long as every 4 years, from halving to halving, the amount of new Bitcoin mined is less than the amount of Bitcoin purchased, the price has to go up. It's simple math. And sure enough, first halving was $12, second halving 670, third halving 8,700, and this last halving was $64,000. In between is where all the volatility happened, and I identified 4 discrete components within every cycle that go in the exact same order, and I call them the 4 seasons of Bitcoin.
Amazing.
And so Bitcoin spring happens the day of the halving, and it stays flat because for every miner that has to sell because the price has gone, they go from being profitable to unprofitable in one day, somebody else willing to buy. But they don't start buying a great number until the prior all-time high from the last cycle kicks in, and that day goes up like a rocket ship. And that happened this last year on election day. And I don't think that was a coincidence. I said in the book that if the Republicans win the all-time high, the new all-time high would be in early November. And the Democrats won. It would still happen in 24, but it had been later in December. And that was when it hit 73,850. We're a year later now. Everybody's panicking because we're only at 100,000. It's been fairly flat for the last 10 months. It's gone up as high as 126. It's gone down as low as 49. We are not done with the bull market. Despite a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's going down to 20K or whatever," all the metrics that I study, and I mentioned them in the book, fear and greed, which is at 20 right now, it's in deep fear mode. And that's basically retail panicking, newbies panicking. Almost everybody who's selling right now has not been in Bitcoin very long. The whales actually can see on chain, they're not selling, and in many cases they're reaccumulating on the dips. And so that's all very important. There's about 4 different things that I mentioned in the book. There's another 40 that I track. I actually have a fund now as well that it's a super cycle fund that's it's for credit investors, etc. And we track even more than that. But yeah, you can learn enough to do a good DIY here, which is to be able to go and sell at the top and buy back at the bottom, and it shows you how to do that. Obviously, you do okay if you just buy and hold forever. If you bought when it was $12 and you bought 1,000 Bitcoin for 12,000, it's worth 100 million today. However, if you're able to go and sell within 20% of the top, buy back within 20% of the bottom, we'd have a little over $6 billion today.
Spend a lot.
And so we believe in that going forward.
That's quite amazing. So if I'm new into the space and want to hear what is the halving, how can I know more about this based on your book? Where can people buy about and get more knowledge
Well, it's
about
distributed
this?
by Simon & Schuster, but the easiest way is simply buy it on Amazon.
Okay. And can we have a bigger view of this? So
Sure.
now, if you're new to Bitcoin and want to be
More experienced.
experienced into Bitcoin and want to know more about Michael Terpin's his book Super Cycle, highly recommend going to Amazon. We're still early, right? We're using the fifth. That's quite
Well, we're
amazing.
not $1 Bitcoin anymore, but we're not $10 million either. That's certainly where
So
it's going.
there's still time for you to learn more about this, learn about Bitcoin Super Cycle. Michael, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Give me one advice on how the people can contact you through your socials.
Yeah, I'm at Michael Terpin on X, and that's probably a good way. I also my name on Telegram, LinkedIn, Facebook, most things.
So you heard it here. Thank you so much for the Blockchain Futures Conference. And thank you, Michael, again
Okay,
for
thank you.
helping support the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, Mike, and I'm about to ask one real quick. What is your favorite chapter of the book?
Oh boy, probably the one mastering the cycles. So that goes into sort of,
Okay.
you have to read the rest of the book to get to the mastering the cycles.
Well, I
though.
appreciate you so much, Mike.
Okay.
Hopefully, check us out for NFT.Miami, December 3rd to the 7th during Art Basel.
I'll be
Appreciate
there.
you, Mike. Check out the book, Super Cycle.